Good morning, everybody. I am Aaron Phipps from MPI Incorporated. I'll be presenting today with Patrick Byrne from Enora AI, co-founder there. So MPI has been in business for over 50 years. I am the president and current owner. We have about 85 employees. And one of the things that I see is the challenge of bringing on new people and also the silos that are kind of created by our data sets internally to the company. And I've seen that as a real problem, bringing on new people and helping to kind of drive solutions to our customers, right? It slows us down in our flow of creating good tools that we can bring out to our customers and how fast we can respond to our customers. And it's just a big drain of opportunity. This is a brief look at what our information system looks like. We have multiple file structure or files through a complex file structure system. We have about 3,000 machines active in the field currently in 47 countries. And we do have a global service support team that is managing those machines for our customers. We have our current ERP system plus past ERP systems that we've used over time that have aged out, that we have to be able to come in and access that information occasionally. We're bringing on a SharePoint system. We have Gemba docs, our own internal software. So as you can start imagining, this is a pretty complex system to bring somebody into. So the effect of this complex system that we now have is we have a information fragmentation throughout the company, right? So how do you find that? The information, as you can tell, is scattered through multiple software and multiple locations. There's no unified search capability. And then the knowledge, because of that, ends up getting trapped in departments. The real scary thing is when someone tries to find a solution, they can't find it and they decide to solve it on their own. And now you have two separate systems. I see Cliff nodding in agreement because he's seen this, right? It happens all the time. And the challenge is we're not aware of it. This all in turn gives us slower response times to our customers, which is obviously the whole point of being in business, is to support and drive solutions to our customers so that they can provide their solutions to their customers, and we can feed the supply chain faster and more efficiently and get a higher level of throughput. All of this leads to the hidden productivity drain. So if this is a standard work week, and this isn't data that MPI has collected internally, this is just available data that if you go and look at what the real productivity and the productivity breakout is in industry, typically in a 40-hour week, you only have about 12 hours of true productive value-added work, or what we would consider going towards value-added. You have a huge amount of searching, a lot of interruptions, again, for all the reasons I just explained. These fragmented systems are driving this searching, right? That's time that you never get back. It's time that you're not, again, respecting the genius or the capability of the people in your organization. And we have constant interruptions. In addition to this, though, we have a knowledge crisis in the US, which ties into everything we just heard this morning. I'm not going to repeat these numbers, but we have a significant drain on knowledge with the baby boomers retiring out and people over 55, and the continued demand on manufacturing throughout the world. So what are we doing about this? How are we capturing that information before it leaves our business so that we're able to continue to provide the services that we provide today? That is my structure of the problem that I saw at MPI, and I wanted to solve and support my team, and therefore in turn support our customers more effectively. And I said, there has to be a better way than what we're doing of just creating standards and trying to train people to use this massive amount of data sets. In order to do that, I need a solution that is fast. Whenever you create a standard, I really believe that it needs to be simple. It needs to be the easiest way to follow it. Otherwise, people start breaking it, and it needs to be known throughout the company. I wanted to create an internal black box. I saw the search capability of AI systems out there, and I said, how do we use that internally at MPI? I said, I want a black box AI that's able to bring all of this together and put it into one location. That's where I then had my problem statement. I went out into the world and started saying, all right, how can I find somebody who has this similar vision and can help me bring this into a reality. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Patrick.
Thank you, Aaron. Really appreciate it. So everyone, really what Aaron has covered here so far has been the problem and the problem statement in particular, and why did we look for a solution to this problem in general. And what I'm going to cover now is what is the solution to this and how can that be implemented. So the solution is to have a single place to find all answers in your company, where expertise is captured and knowledge is stored, like a brain specific to your company that understands your company and your documents. That system needs to be able to centralize knowledge in the company, to have a unified source of truth across the company that connects to all of your different systems. It needs to capture expertise. As we talked about, there's a lot of people leaving the industry over the next 5 to 10 years, and we need to capture those people's knowledge, and we need to capture the resolutions to the problems that they're solving on a daily basis. And we need to have an ability to search for that information that combines both keywords and semantic search, because keywords help when you're looking for specific information like part numbers or machine numbers and serial numbers, and semantic meaning helps to find problems and solutions. And importantly, this system is built on top of all of your existing systems, so you don't need to rip out everything to start again. So how does it work? Well, I'm showing you a quick demo here of how the system works itself. And what I'm asking here is a question related to an engineering SOP. I can use the drop-down buttons there to filter based on department or category of question. And the system will answer my question using citations that it provides to where it found the information, and it'll open those directly within the app. As you can see, it's just going to answer the question here, and you're going to get the citations on the bottom of the screen there. So you can click on those citations to open that file in a separate window. So how does the user flow work? So how does the user actually interact with this system? Well, there's 2 different ways that they can use it. They can either upload a file to the system, or they can answer a question, or they can ask a question rather. When they're asking a question, they'll use Azure Active Directory and single sign-on, so they can sign in directly with their Microsoft accounts. This means that the system is secure, but it also lets us know what information they should or shouldn't have access to. So people aren't able to access information that's only limited to specific admins in the company. And then it uses a hybrid search. So as I said, using hybrid search of both semantic meaning and keywords in order to get the most accuracy. And it summarizes all the information that it pulls in related to those questions, including all of the citations and the links to all of those files that it has pulled the information from. But it also gives them the ability to provide feedback to the system. So by giving a thumbs up, the user can say to the AI system, I'm happy with this answer, it's provided value. And they can also give a thumbs down to let the system know that maybe there's a problem with the information. If they did give a thumbs down, they have the ability to give a note or a comment along with that thumbs down. And that'll enable them to tell the system why it believes that the answer was wrong. What that does is it enables continuous improvement of this system over time. So how did we measure impact of this system? Well, we did a controlled experiment across the company where we took 30 of the employees from MPI systems, and we tested them across cross-departmental questions, 10 questions in a quiz, and we gave them 30 minutes of training on the AI system. We first did a baseline test where we tested them without the system, without using the AI at all. Then 1 week later, we did that 30-minute training session, and we got them to retest using the AI system. And the users didn't know what answers they had got correct or incorrect from that first test, and they didn't know what their scores were in that round 1 test as well. So the users were told that they should skip questions when they didn't know where to find the answer. And this was just to save some time. We didn't want users spending 2-3 hours doing these quizzes, as it wasn't part of their daily work. But essentially, if they skipped a question, we had to have some sort of an incorrect answer penalty, or if they got a question wrong, we had to have some sort of incorrect answer penalty to represent the time that would be lost in an organization when somebody gets an answer wrong. So to account for that, we added 10 minutes for a user searching for that information. We also added 10 minutes for the interruption to the expert in the company. And in terms of the interruption, as we had covered earlier, 8 to 25 minutes is about the amount of time that it takes to recover from an interruption. So overall, I think this is a pretty conservative estimate. The results were actually very interesting. So Firstly, the correct answers, the number of correct answers that people got on the quiz was initially 5.5, which went up to just over 8 answers out of 10 on average. The time taken per question also reduced on each of those individual questions, and adjusted for the time penalty for incorrect answers, the time savings were actually about 50% per question. So the time to find answers and the accuracy of answers both increased by about 50% in terms of once we were adjusting for the correct answers on the time to find information. And something that we found really interesting was that for new employees, the improvement was actually way more significant, about an 80% improvement for new employees, which points to a big benefit, which was one of the things we were trying to solve initially, which was onboarding new employees faster, but also reducing the interruption to your key staff. So to estimate ROI, we used 2 different methods. So the first one, we started with a top-down analysis. We looked at the overall amount of time that users spend searching on a daily basis. According to sources from McKinsey, that's about 1.8 to 2.5 hours per day that knowledge workers will spend searching across these different systems. And we used a low-end estimate there to be conservative. And over the course of a year, that would be equivalent to about 7.5 thousand hours, which is about 4 full-time employees. To try to triangulate and look for some sort of a range where we could have a lower and a higher estimate, we used a bottom-up analysis. And for the bottom-up analysis, we subsectioned each of the users into one of 3 groups. We also assumed that there would be some employees at the company that wouldn't use the system at all. And what you'll see is that the total number of hours saved would be about 6,500, which is about 3 full-time employees. So the range there is somewhere between 3 and 4 full-time employees is the amount of time that would be saved just by using this system. So what does that mean for the overall impact of the company? The time savings would be equivalent to about a 4% efficiency boost across the entire company. And the biggest benefit that we pointed to just before is that you get that faster onboarding of new employees. They're able to add value quicker to the organization. They're also interrupting the key staff members less, and they're able to make better and faster decisions, which gives a competitive edge against competition. So some of the key observations that we had and things that we noticed as areas of improvement for the system was that there was a really low barrier to entry in this system. Only 30 minutes of training, relatively short training session, and we were still getting pretty good results. So as I'm sure you can imagine, if we were to do more training on how to use the system, teaching people how to spot incorrect answers or incorrect information in the system, that would have a pretty big impact. And I think we would have got better results. The quality of the data within the system is really important as well. And part of the reason why I say this is that we noticed, and some of the employees noticed, that the information in the answers to the questions that we had in the quiz were sometimes actually incorrect in terms of the information that was put into the system. In terms of what that was, there were some files within the system that were outdated, files that were no longer correct, and that meant that there was some conflicting information in the answers. This points to culture being critical here, and in particular, a culture to continuously improve this system by pulling out information and moving files out of the system that are no longer relevant, which enables the system to get better over time. And finally, there was a double benefit to this system here. The faster search means that people are able to find information really quickly, but along with that, it means that they're interrupting people less often. And that cost of interruptions is a hidden cost that we often don't see in the organization, but one that does take up a lot of people's time. So what is the strategic value to all of this, and what does this mean for the organization? Faster responses to customers will always result in higher win rates and happier customers. If you can respond to quotes faster, if you can respond to customer service tickets faster, you will have a better relationship with your customers. And it also enables knowledge preservation in the company as people retire. So what we see as the future of manufacturing is that systems like AI, automation systems, robotic systems, these will enable people to do less of the busy work and focus more on making good decisions. So thank you everyone for taking the time. Thank you to Aaron and everyone over at MPI for being a test case for us to deploy the system for the first time. Thank you to everyone for taking the time to listen and for your attention so far. And thank you to the ICI for putting on the show. I really appreciate it.